Hey, welcome everyone. Hey, before we get started, I just want to give out a huge thank you to Emergo Academy. You know, Emergo Academy is all about the brain thing. And I took the training myself to be a crisis and recovery coach. However, what Dave and Susan Kenny teach is flipping amazing. It helps just with your everyday life. It has changed my life in so many different ways on how I look at things. These guys do a phenomenal job. They have actually been in the recovery community for lots and lots of years. They have great success, and they basically just help us learn how to change our brain and change our thoughts, because addiction really isn't about the substance. It's about what we are doing with that substance to cover up our pain and our trauma that we're suffering from. So basically, it's just a band-aid. And it doesn't matter what that addiction is. So I would highly recommend checking out Emergo Academy. That's Emergo, Emergo Academy, ACADEMY.com. Check them out. They've got a really cool special going on too right now. So if you guys get on Al Richards' Facebook page, you'll see a little advertisement that I did a plug for them up there. They've got something really cool going on right now. I would highly suggest getting a hold of them. So a huge thank you to Emergo Academy for being our top sponsor. Thank you guys. I love and appreciate you so much. Now, I have had the honor now to actually sat down with coffee with this guy, Brendan Hermanson, right? I got your last name
Herman.
right.
Yep,
So,
Hermanson. Kind of
um,
weird one, but yeah.
yeah, well, if it says Tina on his little screen, he is not Tina. He is definitely
I
B.
am not.
We tell him by B. He is actually on a different computer. But B was on my show. My gosh, I would say probably 3 years ago, and it was such an honor to have him on the show. We had a great conversation, B, and you happened to be in town for our Healing Utah Success Summit.
Yeah.
Sat down and had some coffee, and my guest that I was supposed to have today actually had to reschedule, and I asked if you'd come back on. So seriously, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, it is really an honor to have you come back on the show. I love it when past guests get to come back on for a second, sometimes third time, and we're sitting at coffee and we're discussing, gosh, what would be a great subject to talk about? And we talked about you are what you say you are. And we're like, all right, let's just fricking roll with it. So um, what does that mean to you? And welcome again. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think we were on the subject of just, I guess, convincing ourselves, our speech, how we speak to ourselves, and the words we use throughout the day, is who we eventually become. I think is, where that was going. Um, so, first of all, I mean, I'd like to say that I'm not an expert on any of this. I don't have any kind of training or anything like that, but I personally believe that, yeah, I try to talk to myself in love every day, and I try to, um, make things as positive as I can. All too often, we get in a world where we're with people that are negative and throwing negative things around, and it just seems to me that that's who they end up becoming. And I think if we train our brains or train ourselves to speak more in tune or in love with what we want, then that's exactly what's going to happen. So I don't.
No, and I have to agree with you, B, right? So um, I know Tina has taken courses like that to help. She does her NLP, and my training, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, at the top of the show with Emergo, it's all about that brain thing. And I'm in training right now myself to
Yeah,
learn even more about retraining the brain.
yeah,
And it really is, you were 100% right. That's kind of where the conversation started. There's a book, I believe it's called I Am Word or something like that. I
for
read that
sure.
book, and that book is very powerful because we do become what we speak. And so I had a friend a long time ago. His name's Matt Gibbons, and I was talking about some stuff, and he stopped me and he says, "Al, do you realize how many times you said try in the
Right.
last 5 minutes?" He goes, "I counted at least 15 times."
Mm,
What?
yeah.
Serious? I use that word that much? And he goes, yeah. So I really started paying more attention to it. And like the word but, I had my friend Colby talk about the word but. But can be used in two different ways. You know, when you say, I'll use it this way. If you say, I love you, but I'm really
Mm,
upset with you, I just canceled out the I love you and I'm bringing in that I'm really upset with you. But
for
if you,
sure.
I'm really upset with you, but I love you, now you canceled out the negative.
Ah,
And I
yeah.
didn't realize that. So now I'm very conscious of how I use the word but. Not
Yeah.
talking B-U-T-T, just a B-U-T.
Right. And I try not to use the word try. It just
See,
happens
there
all
you
the
go. Yep,
time.
that's how it goes. But
I had a
you,
friend, okay, I had a friend of mine one time that used to say, every time I used to use the word try, and I still do it, right? I try. Um, she used to say, trying is lying, and that just sticks in my head all the time. Trying is lying. Stop saying the word try. You're either doing it or you're not.
right?
So
Isn't
yeah,
that
I get
isn't that like in Star Wars? Yoda or whatever his name is? I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but doesn't he say something
it.
like that? That you either do or you don't. There is no try.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, and I had a conversation with my daughter just the other day too, and she was taking her my son-in-law, her brother, our other brother by another mother to get some shoes or something like that. And I just said, did you call mom and see if she wanted to go? And she's like, "Oh, I totally forget about that. I'm such an idiot for forgetting about it." I'm like, don't just call her up. You don't have to say those words like just because you didn't think to call her to go take her with. Um,
Yeah.
that yeah, that's negative speaking to yourself, and it's not going to help anything, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
because our brains are programmed to believe what is said.
Hmm.
Because it doesn't know that we're not meaning it in a real way. It
Right,
takes it that way. And
for
and
sure.
that's stuff that I've been learning. It's like the H word. And I do not use this in my vocabulary at all, period. And that's the hate word.
Oh,
Because that is so freaking strong and so negative and
yeah,
just it's dark in my eyes. It's very, very dark. And
right.
as simple as someone going and I hear friends say this, I hear other conversations, people say this, where somebody will say, "Oh, I like your shoes." And it's like, "Oh, well, thank you, but I really hate these shoes because they make my feet sore if I wear them all the time." You know,
Right.
well, you're still putting out there the word hate.
Hmm.
And society has just basically built us this way. We hear the talk, we hear the chatter as young kids. We pick up on it.
Hmm.
Our brain programs us that way, not realizing how much harm it's doing to us. It's just like what you just said, whether, oh, I'm so freaking stupid for thinking that way. No, you're not,
Hmm.
and um one and here especially I like to promote all ways of recovery, because there's always a recovery out there for someone.
Right.
However, there's certain recoveries that I wish that just changed some things around a little bit.
Hmm.
Because my past wife, she used to go to AA meetings and I'd go there with her and she'd get up and say, "Hi, my name's so and so, and I'm an alcoholic."
Hmm.
She hadn't drank in 6 months. So I remember
Right.
on the way home, I'm like, that really bugs me when you say that because you're not an alcoholic. You
Yeah.
you was an alcoholic 6 months ago
Yeah.
and drank for 6 months. In my version, you're not an alcoholic anymore. So why are you continuously put that label on your head?
Yeah.
People who have been in recovery for 15, 20 years and get up in these meetings and still put that label on their head. And I'm thinking, why would you want to label yourself? Now, again, that's their recovery. It's what works for them. However,
Hmm.
it's just hard for someone like me to understand why I would want to put that label on my head when basically you're really not that person anymore.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I don't know. For me, I am no longer an addict. I've been an addict for many years and I got through all that. And I went to all the AA meetings and I've done all the therapies and the group homes and all that stuff. I've been put through the ringer on this whole addiction side. Um, so a little bit of background about that. I don't know if anybody's interested or not, but I was the guy that kind of got sucked into the opioid addiction and switched to heroin and fentanyl, and I did all that stuff, in the name of the medical profession trying to help me overcome an injury, whatever. Insert injury here, whatever it was, this was their solution. And so I got hooked for many, many years, and I did go to many AA meetings, and it was kind of mandatory in some of the homes I was in and the recovery centers I was in, because I did the recovery thing many times. Um, but I was never a big fan of that. That's something that I did not enjoy doing. So ultimately, I don't go to AA meetings. But there are people that do that, and it does work for them. I can't do it. I can't go up there. I've been many, many years sober now, and I'm not gonna get up in front of somebody and say I'm an addict, or you know, I'm an alcoholic, or whatever the case may be, just because I don't want to tell myself that. So that totally makes sense to me. I mean, I understand that there's a purpose for it, though. Whenever that group was formed, I think was, probably, I don't even know, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whenever that guy created that Alcoholic Anonymous thing. I
Bill
think it was
Wilson.
a Bill Wilson, yeah, friend of Bill's.
Yeah.
So I think that I think we were living in a different time then too. So people were in a different mindset, I think, back then, and maybe people were trying to hide their addiction more back then, and it was like a secret society where you go in and you address yourself as this alcoholic in these meetings or something, and then in your everyday life you just go back to whatever. As long as you keep acknowledging that you're an alcoholic, maybe you can beat this disease. I don't think that's where we're at anymore in 2025. I think people are more open about things nowadays, and they're kind of uh, accepting the fact that there are things out there that happen to people, and people do things because of certain reasons, whether it's, drugs, sex, gambling, eating, whatever the thing is. Things are out there that help us cope with life and whatever our brains perceive as being ill intended towards us or whatever. So um, we reach, right? We reach for solutions, and that was a solution. um, I think an outdated solution back in the day, it was important maybe for people to go in there and just keep re-acknowledging that they're an alcoholic. But at what point do you stop saying that? I think, to say, okay, I'm now better and I recovered, and then some people get caught up on it and saying, oh, you still gotta say that, you're never gonna change, you're always be an alcoholic. No, I'm
Yeah.
not. I take exercise. I'm not gonna be fat no more. I'm not that anymore. I'm a new person. And I think that's where we're at nowadays. As far as that goes, I don't know. That's my kind of understanding of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's bad.
I've heard a lot of people change, where they get up and not in those specific meetings, but in other type meetings, and they go, I'm so and so and I'm in long-term recovery.
Ah,
They're still in recovery and they have been for 20 years, and that's just how they look at it, but they're not putting that label on themselves anymore.
right,
And
right.
and 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 with to kind of bounce off what you just said, B, is it's changing.
Yeah,
I've only been in this industry, this realm for coming up now on 5 years. It'll be 5 years somewhere around March.
right.
And I have learned so much in this short period of time.
Mm,
And I have seen a change, especially in the past year and a half. I've been starting to see a shift where people are starting to open their eyes now to different ways of recovery.
oh yeah.
Right? And again, I'm not knocking any of them down because they have saved thousands and thousands of lives.
Mhm,
However, but we've learned so much about the brain, talking about, you are what you say you are.
mhm,
That's a good example of I'm an alcoholic or I'm a drug addict or I'm a sex addict or I overeat or I'm a gambler or whatever, whatever it may be. You know, we've learned so much. Science has learned so much about now how the brain's working. And this is what I loved about the training that I took with Emergo and the training that I'm taking now is I am starting to recognize. I was with my facilitator this morning before getting on this show, and she's like, "So what did you recognize this past week?" And I started thinking about it and I started realizing things that I was noticing going on in my head.
mm,
Stuff that I've played in my head 1,000 times, but realizing it was negative stuff.
right.
And my subconscious doing its job was there to protect me, to say, hey, you got to think about this. You got to think about this. But then, and we talked about this the other day too, is realizing doing an action, right? There's an action. And when your brain has an action, it totally switches everything on how it fires.
Mm,
And it has really, really helped me because how it's changed me even this week is I started thinking of some negative stuff. And I started bringing a story into this negative stuff, right? It's like our brain's doing its job. Well, this is what
Yeah.
thinking it, right? So you got to
Right.
put a story behind it. And I must have thought about it for 5, maybe even 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the exclamation point went off. And I went, the frick am I doing? Oh my gosh, I'm creating a whole story that hasn't even
Yeah.
happened,
Yeah, you
you
are.
know? So I ended up, she goes, well, what did you do? And I'm like, well, I did what they've taught us in training. I started doing an action. I'm like, I just sit here and start snapping my fingers,
For sure. Yeah.
and saying, hey, this is not true. This is not true. This is not true. And
Mhm.
it went away. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, it like erased within a nanosecond
Yeah.
because I put an action behind it. Instead of me, my
Yeah.
old me going,
Yeah.
stop thinking about this. And then 2 seconds later, you're thinking about it again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're taught that. I mean, I was taught that. I don't know. I'm from the West Coast. I'm here in beautiful Utah on vacation right now, but I'm from the Midwest, and some of the recovery centers I've been into, a reoccurring common theme in there was 8 seconds, 8 minutes, right? So
mhm.
when you're fresh into recovery and you have cravings, right? If you're craving this drug or the alcohol or whatever the addiction is that you have, your brain will think about that, and within 8 seconds, you make a decision, right? So the theory is that within 8 seconds, you're kind of making a decision to either go use. I crave drugs. Within 8 seconds, you can make up a whole plan to get in your car and go to the drug dealer and buy drugs, you know? So the thought is, if you can convince yourself or do something other than that, or speak to yourself in a manner other than that, for 8 minutes, right? You can get past that craving. I guess it's kind of like doing a different action, right? So they're saying if you have the you 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 have the craving for 8 seconds, and then you have 8 minutes to act on it or not. If you can get past that 8 minutes and make it to that next moment, you can recover yourself and get yourself out of the mindset of going to use. I don't know if that falls in line with
No, it does. It falls in
we're
line
talking about
perfect.
this morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It falls in line perfectly because it's happened to me, right? Back in
Hmm.
my using days, that's what it was, where Friday came because Fridays and Saturdays were my 2 days that I used.
Hmm.
And I would tell myself around noon, even throughout the morning, I'm not going to call my guy today. I'm not going to call my guy today. I'm going to not do it today. I'm not going to do it. And I kept telling myself that. Come 2 o'clock, I'm grabbing my cell phone. Hey, I'm
Yep.
off work at 3:30. Where do you want to meet? Right.
Exactly.
And
Right.
literally it was that thought came across, and it's
Hmm.
because I didn't put an action behind it to
Right.
to change what I was thinking. And I did that. I bet you I did it every freaking Friday. Every
Yeah.
Friday, and probably even every Saturday too, because if I ran out, then I'd want to do it Saturday.
Hmm.
And so it was that same process all over again. And next thing I knew, I'm doing it again. You know, um, it's like I've been talking about this a lot on the shows and even in public, that I had a guest a few weeks ago ask me what my sobriety date was. I says I don't know. He's
Hmm.
like, what do you mean you don't know?
Yeah, I get that a lot
You
too.
celebrate your birthday, and I know you look at it this way too, right? I mean, at least from what I understand it, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to celebrate something that was a
Yeah.
part of my life that it's no longer a part of my life, right? My actual birthday of being born, that's still part of my life.
Yeah.
But a birthday of going, I no longer use, and I'm no longer partying every weekend.
Hmm.
Why do I want to? To me, it's not a celebration, right? Because
I don't get
it's
it.
gone, it's out of my life. I mean, I don't go back and celebrate all the other cool shit that I did throughout my life,
Hmm.
even
Or
though
dog shit.
or dumb shit, right? I mean, this one could have took my life. Thank goodness it didn't.
Yeah.
However, I just, for my view, my version just works for me. I don't want to celebrate it.
Yeah, I know guys that have the apps on their phone to count the days that they're sober, and I get it. I mean, yeah, you got to kind of when you're shifting from one thing to a new life for yourself, you need some tools to kind of get you through that. But I'll be damned if I'm going to have a day counter on my phone telling me every day for the next 10 years. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not that guy. But hey, if it works for you and you want to be in there and do that, go for it. I'm just not going to do it because I'm trying to do other things. I'm not trying to stay in that zone, you know? I'm trying to live in love. I'm trying to just be as beautiful as I can while I'm here and just try to create goodness. To me, that's a little negative connotations to it, you know. And I'm, like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not an alcoholic. So I'm not going to say it. You know, I
Well,
used to be.
yeah, used to, yeah. And with all due respect for our listeners who do that, right? We're not knocking it down because whatever
Oh,
works
hell
for
no.
you works for you, right?
No.
We're just saying that, hey, this is what works for us. I
Right.
mean, my past wife celebrated all the time. She would
Yeah.
even do the months, and it worked for her. It kept her where she felt she needed to be. And and,
Right.
and I commend that, right? I tip my hat off to it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
this is how my sobriety works. This is where I look at it. So again, it's not knocking anybody that does. If that works for you and you're freaking
Right.
proud of it, hell yes, own the son of a bitch.
Own it and
Damn
be
it,
that.
own it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Here's what I will rub shoulders with somebody though that says that it's you have to do this way because this is what worked for me. You have to do it too. There are people out there that say you have to address yourself as this because this is how you get pet. No, you don't know that. That might have worked for you, but that's not who I am or trying to be. You might be the type of person that are following that old law, so to speak, to a T and think that this is dogmatic approach to this is, religions like that a lot too. You got to do it this way, otherwise you're going to hell type of stuff. There are people out there like that I would rub shoulders with them. I mean, those are the people that I would kind of argue with and say, no, you can't do that because you don't really know that. And that's great that you're in it that much. You've been sober for 35 years or however long, and you think that's the only way, but please don't try to push that on me and tell me that that's my only way because I'm not going the same place you went to. I'm going
yeah,
somewhere completely different. So, but there are people like that, and I would rub shoulders with them every now and then, and I would knock that a little bit because that's just I think that's ill intent to, and they may not even see it as that. They might see that as helping. I'm helping this person. They got to do it this way. I think we get like that with our kids and other people we love. You got to do it this way. Well, no, you really don't. You don't know where that kid's going. I mean, and there's people that live their lives like that. I'm not a subscriber to that, but still do it. But don't try to tell me how to do it. You might be able to tell you and your kids how to do it, or people you control how to do it, but not me. I'm my own individual person, and I'm going to tell myself what I think is going to help me spread more love in this world, not hold me down and I don't know,
yeah.
whatever.
I'm with you on that one because
Yeah,
I've seen it too in the recovery community, right? Where and my
yeah,
past wife basically had a few people that did that to her too, and it
yeah.
literally sent
Sure.
her almost to the edge.
Yeah, that would be
Because
worse,
she
I think,
felt
to
like
some
they were
degree.
just shoving it in her face. And a lot of times, and you probably know this too, a lot of times we try to do this on our own, and then we realize we can't do it on our own. It's good to have somebody we can fall back on. But
You
again,
absolutely need that.
surround yourself with the people too that also understand what you're going through and not try to push it on you, right? Because
Right.
it happens here in our state, right? Being LDS, there are those out there that
Oh,
really
sure.
push it on you, and I know it happens in other states as well, where it's Christianity or whatever or Catholic. It's
Hmm.
kind of that same thing, right? I like to also look at it as, you know, let's say you like peas and I don't like peas,
Hmm.
but you're telling me, oh, well, gosh, how come you don't like peas? My gosh, they're freaking amazing. All you got to do is just add some butter, maybe put some
Right.
pepper on, add a little few onions, like you're trying to tell me
Right.
to like effing peas, and I don't like
Right.
effing peas. So again, it's the same thing when it comes to recovery. If whatever
Yeah.
works for you. I commend you. I celebrate you 100% all the
100%.
way because that's not my journey. That's
Yeah.
your journey. So
Yeah.
who am I to tell you you're doing it wrong?
Yeah.
Because some people have the strength, some people don't. Some people can do it,
Wow.
just just freaking do it. Other people
Yeah.
need a crutch. Some people need a little pampering, right? We're all wired differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We all are. Yeah.
when we're in our addiction, we're already shamed. We're
Mm,
already belittled. We
mm,
already feel like shit about ourselves. Then
yeah,
we're in the recovery community, and then we're getting the same shit from the recovery community.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's not
It's
what we're
starting.
about.
Right.
I'm looking at it. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but that's not what we're about. We're here to celebrate everyone, whatever their journey is, because at least they're fucking trying.
Yeah, I think that would make more sense, and especially at today's age, right? Because that is just what it is. People are allowed now to be who they want to be. And I don't totally agree with it either, but substitution therapy or whatever it is that gets you out of that thing or that substance that you're using to basically escape some type of thing to start with. I mean, because that's really where it all stems from. You're using this thing, whether it's gambling or shopping or, eating or whatever the disorders are, or whatever the addictions are, whatever, to do something else. So however you do that, however you get rid of that is a win in my book, you
Yeah.
know. Now, if you use that thing and keep on and just do the same thing over and over, then I mean you got some more lessons to learn, I think. But yeah, whatever works, I think is a solid approach nowadays. And there's so many things, there's so many remedies to so many, there's so many individual personalities out there. So you need multi different tools to get through things in life, because we all struggle with some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. So yeah, I'm a fan of whatever works, but I'm not a fan of pushing what you think worked for you works for everybody because that's just
Yeah.
not true.
Yep. It is definitely not true. When I first started doing this podcast, I remember going to my producer after about 3 or 4 months. And I said, Brad, I don't know how much longer this show's going to go. And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, it seems like everyone's story's the same.
Ah,
I'm interviewing lots of people who went through addictions, and it seemed like their stories were all the same. Somewhere hit around puberty, 11, 12, 13, 14 years of age, and things started changing. And it was people from good families, bad families, broken families, traumas, accidents, deaths. I mean, so many things. And my producer said, hey, just keep doing what you're doing. And I don't know how many more months went by. And one day I'm interviewing somebody, and that freaking light bulb went off. And I went, holy shit,
mm,
it's not the story. The stories may seem like they're the same, but everyone's journey is so different.
mm.
Everyone looked at things in a different light. Something gave them that aha moment, or something switched in them, right? And it was a number of things. And some people, it was kind of like the same thing.
Mhm,
However, it's just their journey of what got them to where they're at today
mhm.
was different. We all want to end up in that one area, right? On that other side of
Yeah.
addiction.
Yeah.
That's what we're all pushing for and fighting for.
Mhm,
And that's when it really hit me. And that's when I had my aha moment going, oh my gosh, this is so incredible. So I really, not saying I didn't before, because I really listened to what my guests were saying, but now I was like really listening because I was so curious of what their journey was like. And
mm,
it changed me, because if I went downtown for an event and I saw the unsheltered and the addicts down there, the old Al was like, "What the F is
mhm.
wrong with you? Get your shit together, man. There's help wanted signs all over the place. Go get a damn job."
For sure.
Now I go down there and I'm going, man, I'm so curious what your story is.
Ah,
What
yeah.
put you here? What happened in your life that hit a switch and took you in a different direction?
Mhm,
And because I know now, matter of fact, I just met a beautiful lady at a networking group this morning. She works a lot with the Native Americans, the intuitive, I think that's how they say it. But um, she was saying how all the shame and everything that she went through, but she's starting to look at it that way too. It's what is it that that individual is going through, and what can we do as a society, especially us in a recovery community, do to help share a little bit of light for
yeah.
individuals, because we don't get it, right? We don't get it. She was telling me all this stuff, and she's actually going to be a guest here in the near future on the show. But she was telling me all the stuff she was holding in as a young girl.
mm,
And I'm like, my gosh, I just can't imagine holding all that pressure in for someone so young. I mean, we have a hard enough time handling pressures as a freaking adult,
mhm,
let alone a child with all
mm,
that, right? With certain cultures and different things and how we're supposed to handle things, how we're supposed to look at things, how we're supposed to handle things. And then you start adding the rest of life on top of it.
mhm,
And it's like, my gosh, that was so much for you to take. And again, all of a sudden, one day that light switch went off in her head, and now she's
mhm,
out here helping other individuals. And if it wasn't for people like yourself and so many others in the recovery community, again, to help other individuals, which is great. However, I'm also still seeing something that's dividing us, which
mm.
we got to push out. We got to get rid of that.
Yeah, 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 I don't see it. I don't, yeah, I don't really have a good answer for that, Al. I don't, I know a big part of me through that, what you were telling me is it is up to the individual, right? The individual has to take that first step, right? I know that. So there's not a whole lot we can do outside of just loving them, and letting them know. I think that there's help out there and there's things out there that, can assist you in getting through these thoughts or demons or whatever you're battling. I'm talking about the homeless on the street now.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it opens our eyes. It opens our eyes. And and thank you to people like yourself, B, and so many others who have been on the show that are vulnerable enough to open up and share their story and use their voice. Because I really do feel that their voices are extremely powerful.
Oh
When
yeah.
someone
I
hears somebody's story, right, it changes something in them.
I tell you what, real recognizes real. When you've been on the stormy seas and you've found your way to shore by whatever lighthouse was there guiding you in, you know the other people that are out there in stormy seas. It's just what it is. So yeah, I believe there's value in that for sure. I believe there's good work in that too. Um, so yeah, thank you for that.
So and I could be mistaken, but it seems like people even from other states, the recovery kind of is the same way as it is here. I mean, really, it's still people trying to force certain ways down your throat if it doesn't, that what worked for them and it doesn't work for another individual. Uh,
Mhm.
and again, I think this is where I'm starting to see a little bit of a shift where people are starting to open up a little bit more. And where I was going with this gal too that I met, my brain kind of skipped, but that I met at this networking group this morning, she was talking about how she's opened up with her stuff and she's had to use a crutch to help her get her out of her darkness. And she said that she has gone through, I think she said she has gone through 3 sponsors where
Mm,
they said, no, we can't work with you because basically you're not sober. And she's like, no, I am. They're like,
mm,
no, no, you're not.
mm,
But now she's been, I think she says now 8 years clean,
mhm,
but she still uses a crutch and she's working on now what you even mentioned here just a little bit ago about getting rid of that crutch, right?
mm,
She doesn't want to count on it all the time, right? Just like she counted on her addiction. So she's working now of working on getting herself out of that part.
mm,
But it helped her get to where she's at and she's speaking about it. She's opening
mm.
up about it. And
Oh
because
yeah.
she's opening up about it, she's
Mm,
getting a lot of arrows shot in her back. A
mm,
lot. However, she's really, gosh, this girl's got a lot of strength. She's like, I'm not going to back down because
mm.
if it helped me, there's someone else out there that it could help too. Because when we're quiet, we're stuck in our disease. We're stuck.
Yeah, for sure.
You
Is
know,
she getting arrows shot at her from other addicts, or is she? I
well,
don't know.
from both sides, from people who are in recovery and yeah, because of, and again, it's been happening here, right?
Oh,
Certain
yeah.
people have to use medical assistant treatment
Mm,
or
mm,
medical cannabis or microdosing or whatever, and certain individuals look at that, well, then you're not sober. Well, if
yeah,
if it's helping you from sticking a needle in your arm and living on the streets,
yeah,
you got a job and you've got your family back and you're given to the community,
yeah,
something's changed.
yeah. Something's changed.
Something. Now, and also if you're working on also not using that for the rest of your life too, right? You're using it. I had to use a walker when I lost my leg.
Oh yeah.
Then I moved up to crutches. Now I'm in a prosthetic. that's as far as I can go now with a prosthetic, right? Unless they invent something different, well, it's still going to be a prosthetic unless they figure out how to way to grow legs back or
So
arms.
you're still using a prosthetic? What's wrong with you, Al? What's
I don't
wrong with
know.
you?
I don't know. I,
Seriously?
I'm
Come
just gonna
on,
have to
man.
hop around the rest of my day.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, no, I mean, people, and that's the other thing too. People, sometimes I feel like people just overstep their boundaries and they're like, it's not helping nobody, man. It's tough enough out there. I don't care. You're right, Midwest here, wherever, the whole world is tough enough. We don't need more of that stuff. That's not lifting anybody up. I mean, that person, that individual who's getting arrows shot, hopefully she learns how to duck and weave and just avoid that shit because you don't need to get shot by that type of stuff from people.
No, no. Especially people are trying to do the same thing that you're doing, right? And that's to get out of that addiction and survive. And I don't like to use the word normal. A lot of people go live a normal life. Well, I don't believe there is. Let me see. That's another word I'm working on getting out of my vocabulary. My version of it is there is no normal. I mean, really, define normal. Basically in the dictionary, I think normal is you have a house, you have a car, you have a job, and you have a family. That's normal.
Is it?
I guess that's what they consider what
Is
normal
that
is,
really?
right?
I'm
I
gonna look
guess.
it up now.
I don't know. Check it out because I
Yeah,
was really curious on it as well. I mean, people say I just want to live a normal life. Well, okay, well, define to me what normal is because
sure.
I want to live a good life
Hmm.
best I can with how I vision my life where I'd like to see it to go. But as far as normal, I don't know what a normal life is because my 62 years of walking this planet, I've not seen a normal. Right. And
Right.
I mean, normal was to me for doing drugs every weekend and drinking every weekend. That was like a normal
Yeah.
thing, but that was just something that I thought was a norm when really it wasn't because I got myself out of it. And
Yeah.
life is better, but life is still moving on. So it's
Yeah.
hard to define that word.
It is hard to define that word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sticking with love.
I love it. I
Love.
love
I'm sticking with love. The hell with normal. I just want to be loving. Well, whatever it is. And do the best we can. What else other thing that comes to mind is, um, take no shit but do no harm kind of approach,
it.
Don't let people tell you what to do and bully you and just be the best you can be. I think that's a super simple way to live life, I think, and seems to be working for me anyways. I mean, I'm many, many years sober now, and I'm great. No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And that's my approach. That's what I used, and that's what's working for me. I have no wants or needs or whatever. I just keep going and doing the best I can. And if somebody wants to use, acupuncture or microdosing or whatever they feel they need to use, I'm not sticking needles in my body or whatever to do it, but you do whatever works for you, man. You want to jump in an ice bath, you want to do whatever, all kinds of stuff people are doing now therapy wise, to cope with something or get rid of something or get themselves where they need to be. That's on them, man. Do you. As long as you're not, I think you might need a little bit more push if you're, I mean, if you're homeless, yeah, if you're struggling to get your bills paid or, that kind of stuff, or, you're constantly arguing with people or you're robbing or stealing or hurting people somehow, then you might need a little bit of a push and saying, hey, you gotta stop doing that. I mean, that makes sense, right? That's why we stopped using it because we were hurting ourselves and hurting people we loved, and we realized something has to change. So yeah, within that scope, yeah, go to the meetings and say, I'm an addict, I need a change. It's something, whatever it is. Yeah, then be a little hard on me and make sure and hold my hand a little bit. But other than that, you're doing you got this, you keep on going the path you were designed to do because, God has a different plan for you than it does for her, so
Absolutely. Yeah.
you don't know what that is, and you don't have that right to say that. Whatever that is, whatever helps you. And
I,
I
I
think
love
good
I
at that.
love that you talk about, love because really that's just kind of how I see it as well, right? And I'm not agreeing with you just because you're my guest, because there's times I don't agree with my guests and vice versa.
Hmm.
which is cool about these shows. It's really good.
Hmm. Yeah.
But love throws out the highest frequency there is. That's why they say love can fix all things, and it really can.
I hope so, man.
Does have a frequency, and I really feel that the more of us that are starting to understand, because it's switching. I'm talking
Mhm.
more and more people who are really starting to turn everything completely around. That scale is starting to shift in a different
Yeah.
direction, to where people are going, yeah, we do need to share more love. We do need to have more respect and more sympathy for others, and we don't know, again, it's that song, Walk a Mile in My Shoes. If you've not walked a mile in my shoes, you don't know shit about my life.
Hmm.
Oh, you only see what you see,
Right, which is nothing.
which is nothing. Yeah, it's really nothing. So, but when we throw out more of that love and that understanding, or sympathy, I guess I should say, it really even helps us throughout our days.
Hmm.
You know, I don't want to be upset with somebody. I don't want to get in somebody's face, because I would rather hold their hand and say, look, you know, lay it all out, man. If you got to freaking throw up all over me, and not necessarily that way, but you got to let it all out on me. I'm here to listen. If
Yeah,
you even tell me you don't want me to say a damn word, I won't say a damn word. Just freaking get it out,
yeah,
right? And if you give me an opportunity to say some, I won't tell you this is what you're supposed to do. I may suggest or say, hey, have you thought of this?
yeah.
Something like that. Because and to for me, again, my version of it, that's just throwing out the love, right? That's giving more love and more respect for that individual, because we get enough of shit thrown at us. And I don't watch the news, and I know people who watch the news all the time. And I tell you what, they walk throughout their day in just freaking misery.
Yeah, I don't.
Misery because of all the stuff that's going.
Politics.
It's just, and it's dividing people too, right? And we don't need the dividing. We need to come together as one, because then we're more powerful as
More power.
individuals. And we bring in that love and that kindness, and you know um going back to spiritual stuff, and I'm not talking religion, but I'm talking spiritual. When Jesus walked this earth, he was kind to even the enemies that wanted to crucify him,
Yeah, of course.
because he knew that was, I mean, he knew he had to go through what he had to go through.
Hmm.
However, to be able to do that took so much, and it's hard, right? It's
Super hard.
hard. It's hard
Super
when
hard.
somebody gets in your face, not to get
Yeah,
in their face, but to just,
yeah,
"Oh, I'm just going to stay on my side of the street.
yeah,
Leave me alone. I'm good,"
yeah, yeah.
and just
Well, yeah. There you go. You got to find that too, because like Jesus's case, I mean, he was so loving and so nice. People took advantage of him, right? And they ultimately, I don't know, they killed him, right? They crucified him or whatever. But for me, I gotta be careful for that too, because I like to show as much love as I can, and I like to be a helper, and I like to be, I just want to be present and helpful with people, and just move through this life is hopefully being appreciated by people, right? But sometimes it feels to me that people will take advantage of that. They just really they're and I hate to say that there's that type of people out there. So yeah, you do have to distance yourself from certain people or certain energies out there, I think, because yeah, that's not good either. And all the love I have, I'm not going to tolerate somebody stepping all over me. I mean, I'm just not going to do that. Don't I love you, man, but don't bring that to me, because no. So yeah, it's weird and it's tough, but yeah, I can't be like Jesus. I wish I could, but I can't be like
none of us can.
him. Not to
None of
this.
us can. Yeah, and that's the whole purpose of it, right? We're here to figure things out ourselves, and we get help, right?
Yeah.
we
Oh yeah, we
get
do.
we get our spiritual help, or our universal help, however anybody wants to look at it. We
Mhm.
do get our help. However, it's here for us to figure out. And it's sad there are some that don't quite get it, and
I'll get it.
that's just how their path goes. However, there are a lot of people that, again, I could just be blowing smoke up my own ass. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
really
we
do
do think
feel
about that.
like there's a shift happening. People are starting to wake up a little bit more about life and individuals and respect and
Yeah,
love, right?
yeah.
The love that's coming in, and there's so much of it out there.
All lives matter.
Yeah, all lives, everyone,
All
every,
treatments matter, all therapy matters, all
yeah,
all
it
love
all.
matters. So be careful what you say because it all matters, right?
Yeah, yeah. Going back to be careful what you say. Yeah, that's perfect, because it is. And I've definitely come to realize in my years that I've been through, especially the last 16 years, is a lot of people who are so busy putting other people down. That's just making them
Ah,
feel good for from what they're
so weird.
suffering with inside. And that's just again how I see it. I don't know if it's that way 100% of the time, but I think it's a big percentage. And I think that's why what they say, connection is the opposite of addiction. And when you can connect with right-minded people I mean, even people who are famous and wealthy, they have all connected themselves with people who have done what they've wanted,
Mm,
right? They surround themselves from the like-minded type people,
for sure,
right,
yeah.
to get them to get there. Like somebody starts a music label, somebody else wants to start a music label, they go to those people who did it. How did
Yeah,
you do this, right?
right.
I think it's the same way with life. If you've gone through your recovery and if someone comes through you and they start talking to you and they're like, oh my gosh, this really feels comfortable to me. This fits for me, right?
Hmm.
They connect to you. So
Yeah.
they can get that energy off of you and have what they want through you, right? And it continues to build. It continues to
Oh,
build.
there. Yes,
And
for
if it
sure.
didn't work what you had and they came to me, maybe they connected with me and that's what works.
Yeah.
We've all tried things different ways,
Mm.
right? I mean, I know people who tie their shoe completely different from me. And
Yeah.
why do you tie your shoe that way? That's freaking stupid. Why don't you tie
Yeah.
your shoe this
Yeah.
way? Well, their shoe
Yeah.
still gets tied,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. As long as you don't demand that they tie their shoe your way, then you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I can tie my shoes however I want. I get tied.
Well, I fix that. Usually I wear boots, and now that I'm starting to wear boots again,
Same.
of course, how do you put your boots on? Left foot first or right foot first?
Ah, yeah.
I
Very
could
true.
say
Yeah.
I just take my right foot off completely, my right foot off, put it in between my legs and slide my boot on and then put it back on.
Well, there's a new therapy.
There's
I
a
can try
new
that
therapy
one.
right that. Yeah. Yeah. Try taking your leg off and putting your shoe on.
Yeah, yeah. This is what you got to do. First, you got to cut your leg off.
Yeah.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
that's not going to work for me, Al.
Oh, yeah. Are you sure that's how it works? Oh, yeah, it works perfectly. Oh,
Yeah, that's the way we've done it.
you have to put a plastic grocery sack over the
Oh,
prosthetic foot so your boot slides on better. Yeah, it slides on
yeah,
easy that way. Yeah.
that's the way. This is the way. They're like the fucking Mandalorian.
Oh my
This is
God.
the way.
So,
Yeah.
um, we're about finished up here.
Okay.
Is there any like final thoughts you'd like to share with the listeners? Maybe something that was an aha moment for you, or just maybe some, I don't really want to say the word of advice, or maybe a suggestion for someone to maybe think about a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know if you've heard this before, but I'm stuck on a love track today. I'm about the mountains is just making me awe-inspired, so I feel a lot of love. So my my departing words would be do small things with great love.
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to write that one down. Do small things with great love.
Yeah, that's the way it gets done.
I really like that one.
Baby steps, all in love.
Yeah. Yeah, one baby step at a time, right? It's just like one day at a time. And I really feel that's what the majority of us are doing in our life. It's just one day at a time. And
Yeah.
we can recognize and by doing small things and something too that I'm learning in my training too that I'd like to add to a little bit what you said is celebrate the small things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, I was with my facilitator this morning doing some training and she asked me if there was anything I celebrated yesterday, and I really had to think about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there was. And we're replacing some prefab concrete steps that had broken out at an HOA client of ours.
Mhm.
And it could be a lawsuit for them if someone misses this step and it breaks and things like that. somebody, whoever put that step on, did the weld all the way across. And I only had like this much room to get the grinder and try to grind this weld off with a very thin blade. And sparks are hitting me in the face, and the sun's kind of reflecting off my glasses to where it's hard for me to see. And I was starting to get really, really frustrated.
Mhm.
And I had to stop and take some deep breaths and go, okay, don't go here. Because if I get frustrated, it's just going to make things worse. It's
Yeah.
just going to make things worse. And I finally got myself calmed down, went through. Anyway, we finally got it out. And I said that was my celebration. That was my little celebration moment, that I was able to stop my feelings of getting frustrated.
Uh,
And so it was
yeah.
something that small, I was able to celebrate and go, awesome.
And the more you do it, the more repetitive, the more grateful you become, and the more you radiate that, and yeah, you can just pull everybody in, and the ripple effect of that, those types of behaviors are what we need here to get past those little dark moments.
I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, B, man, it's been an awesome pleasure. Thank you for stepping in
Thank
at
you.
like um a wind's notice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like
Just
have a
having
coffee, and it's like, oh great, my guest for Friday has to reschedule. And it's like, B, what are you doing? As a matter of fact, I think it was Tina that said that. It's like, well, B will step in.
yeah.
You're like,
I'm like,
what?
what? Oh, okay.
I
Oh,
can?
yeah.
All right,
It's
sure.
fun. Yeah. Two.
Yeah. But
That's awesome.
thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for what you shared today. And thank you for spreading love.
Yeah.
That is amazing that you do that, and we need
Super.
more of it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So again, guys, thank you to all our guests, especially our sponsor, Man Emergo Academy. Thank you guys. Seriously, everyone, check out emergoacademy.com. Even if you're not interested in being a crisis and recovery coach, I highly recommend checking them out, possibly taking their course, because it will definitely change your life. Just want to say thank you again to all my listeners. You guys are the ones that's making all this possible. Thank you so much. And remember this: addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.